Martin Luther was a famous theologian, and Wikipedia says he was one of the most influential figures in Christian history. He was also known for his super strict daily routine. In summary, that means no TV, no phone, and a lot of Bible. Today I decided to try it out. It all starts with getting up before the sunrise and spending time both in prayer and in the Bible. And of course, the hardest part immediately was not pulling out my phone and scrolling first thing in the morning. I don't think I've ever read this much this early in the morning before. I've read this book for an hour straight, which doesn't sound like that much, and I think it's probably even less than what Martin Luther did, but even that is like so much. I feel like I've been sitting here forever, and it's even harder when you're super tired. So something I think a lot of people don't know about Martin Luther is that he was a composer and he made a lot of music. And just based on some of the stuff I've looked up about him, it says he spends a lot of time making music or writing music or composing music or just practicing music in general. So I wanted to do something along those lines, but I wasn't sure what for a while because I don't really know how to play any instruments, which you might be wondering, then what are all of those instruments back there? All of my siblings are very musically inclined. However, I am not. I've had this guitar since I was very young, and in the many years that I have owned this guitar, this is what I can play. And then wait for it. I've always at least wanted to know how to play like a full song front to back, like not just a couple of random chords. My goal throughout today, as I do this routine, I'm going to try and learn a new song on the guitar. But yeah, my goal is just to learn this and get good at it. So we'll see. My fingers are in pain. I think this is gonna take a lot longer than I thought it was because I mistakenly picked a pretty difficult song, and I know that if I actually want to do this well and finish it, it's gonna take a ton of practice, and I only have the rest of the day, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this done. This is not going well. So obviously Martin Luther woke up really early every morning and read a ton of the Bible, but I also saw some things that said that he read the entire Bible, sometimes up to 3 times per year, and so I'm assuming he reads the Bible a lot more throughout the day than just in the morning. So that's what I'm going to start doing now. I've been working through 1 Samuel, so I'm going to keep moving through that. I'm excited because I'm getting close to the David and Goliath story. But something I really love about reading this whole book is that earlier on in the story you see a lot of David being like a shepherd and becoming more and more skilled in fighting. So I really like reading this entire book as a whole, so you can kind of see like all the preparation and the build up for David to get to the point of being able to defeat Goliath. Another thing that Martin Luther was prone to do was memorizing different parts of the Bible. So a little bit later I'm going to be trying to memorize a portion of the Bible, and we'll see how that goes. I think it's gonna be really difficult, but I'm gonna at least try. At this point, resisting my phone was becoming embarrassingly difficult. I was filming with it for the majority of this, so you couldn't even see the times when I was tempted to pick it up and start scrolling, but thankfully I resisted. I decided to spend a little time practicing the song again, and it's really hard. Not only is it hard to do, but it's hard to figure out like how to do it. Like I said, I really like guitar and I've always wanted to learn it, but the biggest thing I think that's held me back is my frustration with it. It makes my fingers hurt, the tabs are really hard to read, and I'm not even gonna get started on bar chords, but I was determined this time to push past all my frustrations and actually learn this song. But this busy day was coming to an end and I didn't really have that much time to practice. It feels like the more that I practice, the harder it gets. So like I said earlier, another big thing Martin Luther did a lot was memorize parts of the Bible. Apparently at one point he had the entire New Testament memorized, which obviously is something I can't do, but I'm gonna try to memorize a portion. I've decided that I'm gonna do the passage where David kills Goliath. All of this plus all of this and this to here. I didn't have a lot of time to do this, so I looked up some memorization tactics and started learning. I don't know how hard it is to memorize Bible verses, but I feel like this is gonna be really hard, and especially because I want to do it all in an hour. Don't worry about this Philistine, David told Saul. I'll go fight him. There's no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. Don't worry about this Philistine, David told Saul. Don't worry about this Philistine, David told Saul. I'll go fight him. Don't be ridiculous, Saul said. At the end of the day, I was honestly a bit disappointed. I wasn't able to memorize the passage, I didn't learn the song in time, and before the day was over, I pulled out my phone and started scrolling, which felt like it defeated the whole purpose of this routine. The whole day felt a bit like a failure until before I went to bed, I had an idea. What if I woke up the next day and did it all over again? Time to practice the song. I'm at the point where like I feel like I know the song, like I know where to put my fingers, I know how to strum, I get it, but it still doesn't sound good. It doesn't like flow like a nice song. It sounds like I'm struggling the entire way through. And now I'm going to go back to this passage in Samuel and I'm gonna just memorize it as much as I can. I feel like I have the first like 3 paragraphs down pretty well. It's a lot to memorize. I'm almost like, should I shorten this a little bit? I don't know, but I do have some of it. Then I spent the majority of the rest of my day reading 1 Samuel. I read about all the amazing things David did eventually as king. He became so successful, and to think it all started after him defeating the giant as a kid. I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm like adding something extra to the routine. So something else Martin Luther was known for doing was being a theology professor, like he taught classes. I am not a teacher, so I can't really do that, but I have something that I can do that is at least close to that, and I'm going to be doing it today, but it requires me to drive to go get there. So I'm going to go now and then I'll explain a little bit more when I get there. Okay, so I'm here now. Basically, where I have come is a class, a theology class, which I'm not teaching, obviously, can't do that, but I'm a student in the class. I've been doing this for a while, so it's not like I'm just randomly doing it today. I thought it would be like a good part of this routine, so I'm about to go do that. I just finished. It was really good. I realized once I got in there that there's like literally nothing that I can really film in there. So I didn't get much, but it was such a good class. So interesting to listen to, and I feel like this works really well as part of his routine. Even though I'm not teaching, sitting in a class at least is similar to what he would do, I think. I was much more satisfied at the end of this day. I stayed off my phone pretty much the whole time and I got a lot done, but I still wasn't quite done with the song and I had a little more to memorize. So as you probably guessed, I woke up the next day and did this routine one more time. I slept in a little bit later than I wanted to this day, but I still got up and started reading for an hour. At this point, I had finished 1 Samuel and I was breaking into 2 Samuel. Today's a new day, another day of following this routine. I've decided I really want to not just follow a routine for a day, but I want to like accomplish something that Martin Luther would accomplish, or like do something or like achieve a goal he would have maybe achieved. Obviously to a really small scale compared to what he actually did, but like make a goal, practice it, do the routine until I reach it, if that makes sense. And I'm getting really close, so I'm hoping that I'll get it all done today. At this point, I was making great progress with the song and actually played it all the way through without messing up. I played it all the way through without messing up. That's the first time I've done that thus far. I feel like I'm finally starting to like understand the song and like how it works, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to go back to David and Goliath and memorize that passage as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time today just working on memorizing this. Although I was exhausted after these few days, I was really glad I did this. Spending so much time in prayer and in reading the Bible really changes how you function throughout your day. The biggest thing I learned about doing this is that Martin Luther didn't really live every day in a routine. He more so lived in preparation. Almost everything he did was practicing towards a greater goal. And pretty much all those goals brought him closer to God. I think that's why he eventually was able to become the famous theologian he was, because of all the alone time he spent being faithful and working towards his goals. The same goes with David. Yes, God helped him defeat Goliath, but it was only because he'd spent years beforehand practicing fighting lions and bears. So it makes me wonder what a permanent routine with less social media and more Bible would bring for me. Because if I'm being honest, some of the goals I reached over these few days really blew me away. "Don't worry about this Philistine," David told Saul. "I'll go fight him." "Don't be ridiculous," Saul said. "There's no way you can fight this Philistine man offering money, and only ability is prepared worse has to be fighting for persistent God. Alright, and may the Lord be with you." It's a little less than I was planning on doing, but that was hard.